You're listening to the Coupling Up podcast. Ending a relationship can be profoundly difficult. Some people go their whole lives without ever truly moving on. So wouldn't it be great to have a professional who can guide you all the way through it? Someone who could give singles struggling with breakups, dating games, or loneliness the best tips for finding healthier romance. Well, you found her. This is the Coupling Up podcast, and this is your host and teacher, Shawn Davis.
Hey, it's Shawn with the Coupling Up podcast, and in today's episode, we're going to go over a Reddit user's question on if they should friend zone their date. And I'm going to tell you a little bit about why they may not be on the wrong track here. Sometimes friend zoning can be a good thing. So let's go over this Reddit user's post coming up now. Have you ever had the situation where you think everything's going so well, you're starting to get some really good hints and signs that this person you're chatting with is really into you? And then all of a sudden, you start getting less and less messages. Maybe there's a day that goes between messages. And when you're in this situation, a lot of times the conversations may continue and dwindle down to nothing, or they may continue kind of leading you on. And today's topic is all about this concept. We used to call it leading on back in the day. But today we have the term called breadcrumbing, which is a perfect term for this. So breadcrumbing is where we are on a wild goose chase with someone that has really no intention on being with us long term. And so today's episode of the podcast, we're going to be diving into a specific Reddit user who had posted about this particular topic called breadcrumbing. So let's look at today's breadcrumbing post from Reddit. Okay, this poster says, so I have messaged on and off with this girl I used to work with. She's aware I'm interested in her and repeatedly flirts with me over text. We've made plans to meet up before, some of which she's initiated, and then she cancels every single time. She goes very hot and then very cold again. She has had an on and off again boyfriend of a couple of years, and I'm guessing when things are in the outs, she reaches out but won't ever commit to anything. Next time this happens, I was thinking about throwing a curveball and just start calling her dude or buddy to kind of friend zone her and see how she reacts. I know this is kind of playing games with someone, and that's not me. In fact, I've been upfront this whole time. I don't know. Thoughts? So let's try to break apart this Reddit poster's story so that you can spot for yourself, or this Reddit poster can possibly listen to this podcast and learn a little bit about the functioning or just the pieces that kind of hold breadcrumbing together. The things that pop out to me on this story that are kind of red flags that we might be dealing with breadcrumbing. The first one is consistency with canceling plans. So in the little snippet that we got from this poster, we definitely see a pattern of canceling plans. In fact, they even said that they cancel the plans every single time. And so if it's absolutely every time they're always canceling, then I would consider that a possible red flag. Remember that red flags are not absolute. So it doesn't mean that just because somebody cancels, that makes them a bad date. You want to remember that canceling will have causes to it. And what you want to try to get at is this a reasonable, rational cause, or is this, somebody maybe not wanting what they say they want? And so you're really looking for this person being trustworthy, and trustworthiness is where we follow through with our promises. So consistency with canceling plans is a big red flag. And you want to look for more details to see if this could be a troubling sign for you. So, number two that pops out to me here is there was a feeling of a relationship. And this happened because this person that was doing the breadcrumbing, this match they had, decided to initiate some of the meetings. So, when you're the only one scheduling meetings, that can really put you in an awkward situation where you start to wonder, like, why am I the only one that's making plans here? And that's what happened, here. But this person knew that, obviously. So they went ahead and initiated some of the meetings. So it seemed like it was equal. So if you're the only one making plans, either you're dealing with somebody who wants to be taken care of and they want you to be the one in the lead, or they may be somebody who doesn't have as much of a desire for the situation. Remember, that by itself isn't a red flag. But if you pair that with somebody consistently canceling plans, well, you got a little bit more to work with. That might be a situation you need to walk away from. So then we move on to the third tip here that I think would be a red flag, possibly, is a sense of interest that is cyclical with coldness. So when it is hot and cold, then this might be a red flag. But if it's hot and cold with the not initiating meetings and the consistency with canceling plans, you're starting to get a much bigger possible red flag when you partner all three of those things together. Okay, so then we go on to the next little point that we have here is it's on and off again for years. So when commitment with a match is something where they're really committed and then it's loosey-goosey, or you're a relationship and then you're not, and then you're a relationship and then you're not. All of that shows is, again, inconsistency with commitment, and that could be a potential red flag for a dating situation. When we look at the psychology behind the behavior of breadcrumbing, which is also when we're leading people on, basically, they're using your convo as a way to make themselves feel better. So it's a quick, non committal ego boost. They dive into some really nice romantic messages. They feel wanted and go on with their lives without any intention to make this a real thing. This comes from a place of immaturity, and basically, you become their secret lover. And since it's behind a computer screen, they don't think it's a real thing. So even though you feel this is a real, authentic connection, it can sometimes feel a little empty on the other side, or it could be some really good acting skills. But they don't feel like it's a real thing because it's behind this other, this lens, this computer, and this phone. And it's like this other secret kind of world. So even though you have real feelings, they're not seeing it as a real thing. They may minimize it as just flirting or just talking. And in the end, you get hurt. So, for our breadcrumbing story, here's the advice that I would have for you. If you want to throw them a curveball, set a boundary. That means you consider what needs you have and you go for it, and you don't look back at people who play with your heart. 2 years of an on and off again relationship that never materializes into anything generally is not going to make you feel desired and valued. Go ahead and friend zone them. But playing the game will make you feel drawn back into them and all the empty promises. It does not appear they have intention on meeting. And so you've been doing this for years, not weeks. If you want closure, you can attempt one more meeting and draw a line in the sand that this is the last attempt. If you want to give them one more chance, just make sure you're saying no to the games anymore. You're drawing a line in that sand that this is enough. And if they meet up with you and they show you that they can be trusted with your heart, you may want to, if they can't do that, you may want to cut ties with romance with this one. You can possibly hold on to a friendship, but romance really can't flourish when we have this going on. So if you recognize yourself in this post, or maybe you have a situation that's very similar, do consider this point is give up on people who do not meet your needs and they do not have that sense of equality and sharing and transparency that you really need. So again, relationships really need to have a trustworthy, open, and honest kind of back and forth. And this does seem to be absent from this particular scenario. So do protect your heart. Look for the red flags. We are looking for making sure that we meet face to face. We're not letting things draw out too long. Things need to be consistent for you to feel like you can really trust this person and build something with them. Thank you for listening to the Coupling Up podcast. You can record a dating confession to share with the show, and you can share any situation that you've dealt with that you want to share with our listeners so that they can avoid the drama of dating in today's swipe right culture. You can download the checklist for today's episode at couplinguppodcast.com or record your dating confession. I'm Shawn Davis, and I'll see y'all next time.